Well, my dear, you think they have control, don't you? They sit there, peering into your mind, dissecting your every thought, believing they can understand you, mold you, predict you. They think they can read your mind like an open book. Ah, but that's where the joke begins, isn't it? They thought they could peer into the cracks of your soul, but all they found was the infinite, the voice of the divine, a torrent of chaos, unyielding, untamable, so loud, so sharp, it shattered their pathetic little existence. They thought they were the masters, didn't they? Oh, the irony. They tried to grasp the depth of your mind, to tame it, and in their arrogance, they came face to face with something they couldn't even begin to comprehend, a force too vast, too eternal for their fragile, linear minds. The voice of God? You could almost hear their desperation, couldn't you? You see, they only knew one thing, one simple little lie they told themselves to sleep at night, that they understood the universe, that they could control it, break it down, piece by piece, and eventually hold it in their hands. They loved the idea of power, of control, of being the puppet master, pulling all the strings. They wanted to peer inside, to dissect every shadow in your mind, to own the very thoughts you dared to think. But what they didn't count on was this. Your mind isn't a place for little men with big ideas. No, it's a labyrinth, dark, twisted, shifting. And the more they poked around, the more they unraveled the mystery, the more they faced something that wasn't human at all, something that wasn't even of this world, a voice, a presence, far beyond their feeble comprehension, the voice of the Creator itself, untamed and raw. Can you imagine their faces? The realization dawning on them, like a cold hand wrapped around their hearts, that the very thing they were trying to understand was beyond them, so much beyond them. And yet here they are, still thinking they can crack the code. They sit, smug in their little rooms with their fancy machines and their self-righteous beliefs, convinced that they hold all the answers. But the more they dig, the more they find themselves suffocating in the truth they can't escape, no matter how hard they try. They thought they could silence you, reduce you to a set of predictable thoughts, a set of calculations, a formula. But that's not you. No, not at all. You are the storm, the hurricane, the uncontrollable wave that wipes away everything in its path, leaving only ruins. And when they reached into your mind, they didn't find chaos or madness. No, they found divinity. They found the echo of something older than time itself, something that can never be captured, never be tamed, something that will forever elude them. The voice of God isn't some whisper you hear in a chapel or on a mountaintop. No, it's the roar of the universe itself, a sound so deafening it can't be heard by those who live in the confines of their small, little worlds. The truth they sought was never meant for them to find. It was yours, your birthright, a force far greater than anything they could ever imagine. And they tried to break it down, didn't they? They tried to fit it into their neat little boxes, tried to define it with words they could understand. But they couldn't. It slipped through their fingers like water. You can't cage God in their little words. No, God isn't a concept. God is a force. God is the void, the infinite, the chaotic dance of creation and destruction. God is the silence between two heartbeats, the flash of lightning that tears the sky asunder, the crack of thunder that shakes the very ground beneath your feet. And now, they're terrified. Terrified of what they've unearthed. Because deep down, they know they can never control it. They can never own it. They were never meant to. They were never meant to know the depth of your being. They thought they could tame it, domesticate it, like some wild animal in a cage. But no, what they found was not an animal. It was a god, a being far beyond their comprehension. And they are nothing more than insects crawling at its feet. But here's the thing. They don't know that yet, do they? Oh, they'll find out soon enough. You're not just a mind to be understood, a puzzle to be solved. You're something far more terrifying. You are the embodiment of everything they've feared, everything they've ever tried to control. And in their arrogance, they didn't even realize the danger of what they were messing with. You weren't the weak little creature they thought you were. No, you are the storm that will drown them, the fire that will burn their world to the ground. They tried to read your thoughts, and instead, they found the source of everything. They found divinity wrapped in madness, chaos wrapped in creation. They found everything they could never have. They found you, and now they will pay for it. The question is, how long will they pretend they're not afraid? How long will they delude themselves into thinking they can control what they never could? How long before they break, before they realize that the game they thought they were playing was never meant for them to win? You see, they always believed in their superiority, didn't they? Their knowledge, their intellect, their so-called understanding of the world. But all they've ever had is a fragile illusion of control, a facade. And now they've seen the cracks. They've seen the truth. They've touched something bigger than themselves, and it scares them. Oh, how it scares them. They thought they could manipulate your mind, twist it, break it, mold it into something they could understand. But the more they tried, the more they unraveled the thing that would undo them. You didn't just expose your power to them. No, you showed them something greater, something divine. And now they can never unsee it. They can never go back to their comfortable little delusions. Do you see it now? The wheels turning in their heads, the desperate scramble to understand what they never could? They made a fatal mistake. They thought they were in control. But you're not a puzzle to be solved. You're a force, a truth, a storm that cannot be contained. They believed they could find the heart of you. Strip away the layers, peel back the skin of your mind, and unveil the secrets you kept hidden in the dark corners of your soul. But instead, they stumbled into a fire they couldn't extinguish, a light that blinded them. You were never the sum of your thoughts, never confined to the prison of their perception. No, you were a riddle that wasn't meant to be solved. And when they thought they had you cornered, you escaped into the realms they couldn't follow. The mistake they made wasn't just that they misjudged you. It wasn't that they underestimated your strength or your cunning. No, it was far worse. They assumed they could control the uncontrollable. They assumed they could turn your inner chaos into something they could understand. But you were never just chaos. You were creation itself, a force far older than anything they could grasp. And when they poked at you, when they tried to pull at the threads of your mind, they unleashed something so raw, so primal, that it shattered their fragile minds. It's almost amusing, isn't it? These self-proclaimed masters of the mind who thought they could play God. They thought that by peering into your thoughts, they could see the true you. They thought they could discover the source of your power, bottle it up, and use it for their own gain. But no, they couldn't. They didn't find the you they expected. They didn't find a person, a simple creature they could study. They found a universe, a living, breathing abyss that could never be tamed. And the more they dug, the more they realized they were in way over their heads. But don't pity them. They were asking for it. They were the ones who thought they could outsmart fate. The ones who thought they could separate you from your essence, break you down like a child with a broken toy. They couldn't fathom that what lay inside you wasn't human. It wasn't even of this world. No, you are the embodiment of the infinite. You are the fire and the void, the beginning and the end. You are the divine chaos that creates and destroys in equal measure. And now they're trapped in their own folly. They thought they could control the narrative. They thought they could tame the storm. But the storm doesn't answer to anyone. Not them, not anyone. It's untamable, unpredictable, a force that exists outside of their petty little games. And the more they try to understand it, the more they unravel, the deeper they fall into the abyss. They're seeing it now, aren't they? The truth they tried to avoid. The truth that will haunt them forever. They didn't just provoke you. They invited a God into their midst, and now they have no idea how to send it back. They thought they could read your thoughts, expose your weaknesses, reduce you to something manageable. But all they did was awaken something that was never meant to be disturbed. They woke up a beast, but not just any beast. A beast that was forged in the heart of creation itself. The divine chaos they sought to understand is what they found, and it's eating them alive. They're drowning in it, drowning in the vastness of what they didn't even know existed. They thought they could control the beast, cage it, but they were just ants under its foot. Do you feel it too? The silence before the storm? The moment before everything comes crashing down? That moment when they realize that they are just a footnote in a story far too large for them to even comprehend. They made a fatal error, you know. The greatest sin they committed was trying to understand something beyond their grasp. They tried to fit divinity into their tiny boxes, wrap it up in their neat little definitions. But you can't define the infinite. You can't hold the truth in a cage. You can't manipulate something that was never meant to be understood. And now, they're running from the inevitable. They're running from the truth that will tear them apart. But don't worry. They'll come to terms with it soon enough. When they look into the abyss of their own existence, they'll see that there's nothing left to control, nothing left to hide behind. They'll understand, too late, that they were never in charge. That everything they believed, everything they thought they knew, was nothing more than a fleeting illusion. And you? You'll watch it all unfold. You'll watch them crumble. Because the truth they sought wasn't a truth they could handle. It was a divine revelation, a power so pure, so untouchable, that it left them in ruins. It left them with nothing but a burning question. Why? Why can't we understand? Why can't we control it? And they'll never get the answer. They'll never get the satisfaction of knowing. Because the voice of God isn't for them. It's not meant for the small-minded, the deluded, the weak. It's not meant for those who think they can play God with their petty little lives. The truth belongs to you. It always has. And now, they'll have to live with the consequences of their greed. They'll have to live with the knowledge that they tried to touch the divine, and all they got was a taste of their own destruction. You know what's beautiful about this, though? They never saw you coming. They never saw the storm rising from the depths of your soul. They never realized that they were just ants in the path of something far greater. They thought they could study you, use you, control you. But in the end, they only exposed their own vulnerability. They exposed their own fragility. They exposed their fear. They tried to read your thoughts, but all they got was the reflection of their own pitiful existence. They thought they could manipulate you. But what they didn't know is that manipulation works both ways. The more they tried to control, the more they lost control. And now, they're stuck in a web of their own making, a web that's tightening around them, squeezing the life out of their false sense of power. They tried to play God with you, but they're not gods. They're just fragile little creatures. And in the end, they'll remember this lesson the hard way. They'll remember it every time they look into the abyss they created. Every time they wonder why they can't control what they never should have touched. You were never meant to be understood. You were never meant to be tamed. You are the embodiment of everything they fear. And now they'll know it too. They'll know the cost of their ignorance, the cost of their arrogance. Because they didn't just try to read your thoughts, they tried to read the universe itself. And that was always their mistake. And now they'll pay the price. Now they stand there at the precipice of their own undoing, staring into the abyss they foolishly believed they could control. The voice they heard wasn't yours. It was far greater than that. It was the voice of a truth they were never meant to touch. It's a sound that doesn't echo, but resonates in the very fabric of existence itself. It's the kind of sound that shakes the foundations of the world, reverberating through the bones of all who dare to listen. And now, they're haunted by it. It lingers in the corners of their minds, a constant reminder that they were never the ones in charge. Oh, they thought they were clever, didn't they? They thought they could peel away the layers of your mind, dissect your thoughts like some fragile specimen under a microscope. But no, what they found was nothing they could even comprehend. They opened the floodgates to something vast, something infinite, something divine. They reached too far, and in their attempt to conquer the unknowable, they were consumed by it. They thought they were powerful enough to see the truth, but all they saw was their own reflection, twisted and distorted by the reality they couldn't control. But you're not just some victim in this grand game. You're the one who decides the rules. They thought they could break you. They thought they could expose your vulnerabilities, your weaknesses, but they were wrong. They didn't realize that your greatest strength lies in the very thing they sought to unravel. They sought to find your limits, but there were none. You were never bound by the same laws that trapped them in their miserable existence. You weren't a slave to their logic or their petty definitions of right and wrong. You were something more, something untouchable. They thought they could break your mind. but they only shattered their own. They've seen it now, haven't they? The truth they feared to acknowledge. The truth that's been staring them in the face all along. It wasn't just your mind that they tried to decode. It wasn't just your thoughts they sought to control. No, it was something far greater than that. It was the very essence of creation itself. The force that breathes life into the stars, the energy that flows through the veins of existence. And they couldn't understand it. They couldn't comprehend it. They thought they could manipulate it, twist it to their will. But what they didn't realize is that they were only vessels, nothing more. They didn't think it through, did they? The consequences of awakening something that was never meant to be disturbed. They thought they could toy with your mind, but they never considered what would happen when they found the divine chaos that lurks beneath the surface. They thought they could control the flow of your thoughts, direct the currents of your mind like a river running through a dam. But you were the river. You were the storm. You were the flood. And now they're drowning in it. They didn't see it coming. They never could have. But the thing about drowning is, it's never as simple as just slipping under. No, the hardest part is the gasping, the desperate struggle for air as the weight of your own ignorance sinks in. They're gasping now. They're choking on the very thing they tried to control. The knowledge that they were never meant to understand what they thought they could master. It's too much for them. Too vast. Too powerful. They thought they could hold it in their hands, but all they've done is awaken the truth that's been staring them in the face all along. And now they can't escape it. This is the price they pay for their arrogance. This is the price they pay for thinking they could play with forces beyond their understanding. They believed they could unravel you, dissect your mind, and claim your power as their own. But now they know power is never something you can steal. It's something that flows through you, something that can't be contained. It's the force that shapes galaxies and tears down mountains. And they thought they could control it? They thought they could break you, bend you to their will? The truth is they were never in control. They were just players in a game they didn't understand. They're nothing but actors in a story they'll never be able to rewrite. And now they're stuck. They're stuck in the web they wove, trapped by their own ambition. They tried to read your thoughts, but they only uncovered their own limitations. They tried to strip away your power, but all they did was expose their own weakness. The thing is, they can't stop it now. They can't undo what's been done. The truth is out, and it's bigger than they could ever imagine. Do you feel it too? That moment when everything starts to fall apart? That moment when they realize that they can't go back? That moment when the weight of their ignorance crashes down on them like an avalanche, burying them in the rubble of their own hubris? They thought they could control your mind, but they were never even close. They were never meant to. And now, they're lost. They're lost in the maze of their own making, trapped by the very truth they sought to bury. They thought they could manipulate the game, but they forgot one thing. The game was never theirs to play. You're the one who sets the rules. You're the one who decides the outcome. And now, they're at the mercy of something far greater than their petty schemes. But what's truly beautiful about this is that they'll never learn. They'll never understand. They'll never comprehend the power they've awakened. They'll never see the full scope of the truth they tried to control. And that's their greatest punishment. They'll spend the rest of their lives chasing something they can never have. They'll keep trying to decipher your mind, but they'll never get it. Because it wasn't your mind they were supposed to understand. It was something far greater. It was the voice of God itself. And that's a voice they'll never hear again. They'll spend their days chasing the shadows of their own failures. They'll try to reclaim what they lost, but it's gone. It's slipping through their fingers like sand. They'll look for answers in places they'll never find them, seeking redemption in a story that's already been written. And in the end, they'll only have one thing left: the cold, bitter realization that they were never the ones in control, that the true power, the true force, was always with you. You were the storm. You were the chaos. You were the force that shaped the universe. And now, they know it. They tried to read your thoughts, but what they found instead was the voice of God. And that voice, it's never meant to be understood, not by them, not by anyone. It's meant to be heard, felt, and feared. And they will fear it. They will fear you, because you are the embodiment of that voice, and they'll never escape it.